Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. First of all, if you are new here, I post new book reviews almost every single day, so if you're looking for some reading inspiration, if you want some recommendations on what to read this summer, or you just like being nosy and following book reviews, then feel free to stick around. Now let's talk about today's book. Today I'm going to be reviewing volume 18 in the series No Matter How I Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault I'm Not Popular by Nico Tanigawa. This is a manga series that I've been reading and loving and enjoying, and this is what the cover looks like. We have our protagonist Tomoko on the cover, and if you have been following my book reviews on this series, or if you have read the series yourself, you know something looks different about Tomoko. In previous volumes, she has black hair, so here's Tomoko on the previous volume that I have. She has black hair, but she is having her anime protagonist moment with silver hair here, and that's just something different that immediately popped out at me when I got this book home from the library. So I gave this a read and let's talk about it. Volume 18 is a continuation of our protagonist Tomoko. Tomoko is a teenage girl. She has entered high school. She's actually in her third year in volume 18. She went in thinking that things were going to be great. She was going to kill this. She was going to be super hot. She was going to be super popular. And that didn't really happen. Reality didn't really click with the fantasy. Tomoko became quite socially isolated when she continued to stick her foot in her mouth, or when she continued to act in sort of socially embarrassing ways. And she started this deadly cycle where she continued to do things and push people away who were trying to connect with her, further isolating her, making it harder for her to connect with people, and then she would act out again. And it kind of became this deadly cycle that was only broken during a class trip. And slowly but surely, Tomoko has been working on herself, maybe not intentionally. She's not doing a workbook or a course or a retreat, but she's working on herself, she's growing, she's recognizing some of her negative behaviors, and she has developed connections with her classmates. So this growth has taken place very incrementally and over a large number of volumes, but Tomoko finally has those connections. She's in her third year of high school, and we're starting to see the payoff of all the growth that has happened in the previous 2 years, and it's very rewarding as a reader to see how far Tomoko has come, especially from previous volumes like volume 1, 2, 3, where things were quite dark and she was very, very lonely, to volume 18, where the focus is her going to a study training camp with a large number of other people, her friends, hanging out, doing those typical teenage things with her friends in the study training camp rooms, and just having a good time thinking about her future. This is almost unrecognizable from the Tomoko that we saw at the beginning of the series, and I feel like that's super cool to show very realistically how much can change in the course of a couple years in your life, and how a little bit of character growth goes a long way, basically. So as mentioned, Tomoko has gone to a study training camp. This is kind of akin to like sports training camps where people might go to prepare for a sport, but this one is focused on college entrance exams. Tomoko is aiming to get into a certain college. She has a large number of friends, including a friend from middle school, who also have different personal goals to get into certain colleges. And the training camp seems focused on training you or helping you study with professional teachers in a wide variety of topics that might be covered on the college entrance exam, so you can achieve your goal and get into the college of your choice. This is something that in personal life I did not really engage in. In the United States, we have like the ACTs, the SATs, so college exam like tests. It's not the only thing that your college admission rides on, and I did not get deep into the whole college admissions thing. I just picked a local college that gave me a scholarship. I went to that college. They didn't have a high entrance, like there wasn't an extensive it wasn't a hard to get into that college. I just applied, I got in, I got my degree in mathematics, and I've gone out and had a great career since. So I didn't really engage in any of that in the United States, but it seems to be, and there are certain groups in which it is common to kind of be competitive to try to get into a top school in the United States, but it feels a little bit more pressured maybe in Japan. I don't know if the college admission cycle is just a little bit more competitive, or there's fewer choices. There's not options for people like me who don't really want to compete for a top spot. They just want to get their degree and get out. Not really sure how that is, but Tomoko at least is very focused on getting into a school, and she's starting to connect with her friends about what their dreams are. What do they want to accomplish in the future? People who want to be light novelists or voice actors. And it's kind of cool that they're getting to go to certain classes and kind of try out what taking a class in a certain field would be like before they get there. That's something that I feel like is kind of interesting and cool. The college I went to, we weren't actually required to declare what we wanted to study until we had already been there for 2 years. So it was a 4-year program. Most people kind of had an idea when they went in. Most people changed it. So you didn't have to actually say what you wanted to study until you had kind of taken a sampling of a wide number of courses. It's actually something that I know people feel strongly one way or another about, but I actually really enjoyed, and I don't think I would have settled on mathematics if I hadn't had that option available to me, and mathematics has given me a very rewarding, interesting, and well-paying career. So I'm glad that I had that option available for me, and I'm glad to see that in at least this fictional universe, Tomoko's friends and Tomoko herself are starting to explore where they want to go after high school. I am not sure the direction this series is going to go because all these volumes are new to me. I'm not entirely sure if the authors want to take this series beyond high school, because I think it would be interesting to see growth that happens during college. But something I do find interesting, and I don't know if it's just more common in Japan, is a lot of these girls are talking about going to the same college together. So all these girls at the training camp are saying, oh, I want to go to this university, or we can get into the university together. And here in the United States, that's not very common. Again, people who live in the United States live in a massive country with many university and college options. So maybe it's just less rare to pick the same university, but there's not really a lot of that we're going to the same university thing. That doesn't really happen often in the United States. People just tend to make their decisions independent of what their high school friends are doing, and then you either stay in contact or you don't with your high school friends. So that's less common, and I don't know if this is just like plot convenience or it actually is more common to stay more connected with your high school friends when going to college. But Tomoko in volume 18 is really just about her hanging out with these people at the study camp and starting to think about her future, which I don't know if that's indicative of where the author wants to take the series. We're gonna have to see, but I do think it's an interesting way to go. I haven't actually read a manga series that goes from high school to college, so it might be interesting to see the transition from high school to college. And how someone manages that, just because I feel like this series has been so focused on personal growth, and I think a lot of personal growth happens during the adolescent period or the middle school, high school period here in the United States, high school period, whatever you want to call it. Like the time between 11, 12 and like 17, 18, there's a lot of growth that happens there, but there's a lot of growth that happens at college, especially between that 18 to like 25, or really even shorter than that, 18 to 22, 23 range. There's a lot of growth that happens there, so it might be interesting to see the authors continue the series into college to talk about the kind of growth and development that happens with these characters, all these characters that we've gotten to know in the college period. I feel like the author has done, or the artist has done, a really good job of portraying these characters as slightly older as the series goes on. They don't look exactly like they do, at least in my opinion, in the first volumes. Maybe that's like a perception thing, but I feel like the artist has subtly made these characters look a little older, a little more mature. They're starting to think about their future, and it's just a really interesting twist that I really enjoyed. I feel like volume 17 has set up volume 18, and I really enjoyed volume 18. I also have volume 19 out, which I started reading, but I haven't completed yet. So I'm interested in seeing where the series goes. I'm interested in seeing where Tomoko takes her future and how she approaches her future and what she's going to do from here on out. If you've read this series, if you have any comments on this series, then feel free to share it below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.